Just over a week ago, wide receiver Terry McLaurin formally requested a trade from our beloved Washington Commanders, and the situation has been met with total silence from the front office since, forcing the fan base to take a stand. Are you Team Terry or are you Team? And how exactly did we get here? Well, if you've been following us for a while, you know exactly how. Let's break it down. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Bleeding BNG. Don't forget to hit that comment section. Don't forget to smash that like button and smash that subscribe button so you're not missing any of this content on your Washington Commanders. So if you can look at the screen, about 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago, almost 3, May 25th to be exact, I posted a video titled "The Commanders Have a Terry McLaurin Problem on Their Hands." And in that video, I went into great detail about how Terry McLaurin's age, production, and endearment from the fan base would make this a complicated negotiation. That video only got 500 views. So I get why this 3-week-long standoff might have blindsided some of you, but not to toot my own horn. Heck, who am I kidding? Yes, I am. This situation has gone exactly how we predicted it to go. Before I go any deeper into today's video, I want you to smash that subscribe button so that next time you're not missing any of this content and you too can be out in front of stories 2 months before they happen. Now, I want you to go back and look at the comments to that video. Some of y'all fans wanted my head on a pitchfork. Reading those comments, I honestly came to realize something that I already knew. You guys are delusional when it comes to Terry McLaurin. You guys look at him through the brightest of burgundy and gold lenses. And trust me, I get it. I understand. This franchise has been so talent deprived over the last 25 years that we tend to elevate our talent to points where they can't even reach. They can't even imagine to reach. It got to the point where I had fans in my comments offended that I said Terry McLaurin isn't a blank check status player. Newsflash. Terry McLaurin is not the type of wide receiver to go set the wide receiver market or reset the wide receiver market. He's not that guy, pal. I'm sorry. Now, the elephant in the room is that we don't know what exactly Terry's asking for, and we don't know what the team is offering, but we have had a number of reports. Like Adam Schefter saying that Terry's camp wants substantially more than DK Metcalf's $33 million annual average value and $60 million guaranteed. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have ESPN's Jeremy Fowler saying that the team has only offered Terry, up until this point, a substantial raise to the $23 million that he's already making. Now, quite frankly, I don't think any of these numbers is appropriate in the sense that I don't think that we should do something stupid just because the Pittsburgh Steelers did it, even if I think that Terry McLaurin's a better player than DK Metcalf, which I do. But I also think that a slight raise over the $23 million that Terry McLaurin's making right now is a low ball offer. Both things can be true. But the reality of the situation is this. Terry McLaurin is 30 years old. He's going into his age 30-year-old season. And I believe that the discourse about Terry McLaurin during this standoff and during this contract negotiation saga has gotten wild on both sides of the spectrum and both sides of the coin. Because, you know, I'm not just saying this for hot take purposes. I'm not saying this to generate clicks, to get any type of clickbait. Y'all know I'm not doing this, especially if you've been a day one Bleeding BNG supporter. You know that while I love Terry McLaurin, I love Terry McLaurin more than the next man. It's a reason why I'm down in the 17 right now. There's some holes in Terry's game that have always been there that don't allow him to be a top 3 to top 5 wide receiver. And as I said, I've heard discourse on outrageous ends of the spectrum on each side. Well, I've heard people saying that he's top 3 and he's not 3. And then I've also heard people saying that he's not a top 25 wide receiver. He's not a wide receiver 1. People saying that Devontae Smith is better than him. Like, Devontae Smith, like, come on now. You pushing it. You pushing it. While I said that my man had some holes in his game, he just learned how to run a double move last year. Devontae Smith is pushing it. But I think that if you step back, take off your burgundy and gold colored lenses and look at the game from a realistic point of view and being a realist, I think we can all admit, if we have common sense and a good head on our shoulders, that Terry McLaurin is a consistent top 15 wide receiver. And that will place him in the top half of wide receiver 1s across the league. And that's nothing to stab at. That's nothing to turn your nose up at by any means. But when you're talking about the list of the consistent top 15 wide receivers and that universal list, Terry McLaurin is going to be the second oldest wide receiver on that list behind Tyreek Hill, who's one of the fastest men to ever play the fucking game of football. So it's levels to this, right? And, you know, while I'm not saying that Terry McLaurin isn't going to age better than Tyreek Hill. I don't think that he's better than Tyreek Hill in this moment. Just speaking to a name like Tyreek Hill, I know that a lot of people have reported that Terry's talking point in countering the age at the negotiation table is the amount of years that he has spent in the NFL. And the reality of the situation as well is that a third contract was always going to be difficult with Terry McLaurin. Because of the fact that he came into the NFL at such an old age. He was a 24-year-old rookie. Terry was spending COVID years at Ohio State before COVID. And I say all these things to say that, yeah, when he uses the amount of years in the league as a counterpoint to the age, that Adam Peters and Lance Newmark can go back to the counting stats and say, oh, a guy like Tyreek Hill or a guy like Mike Evans, they received those deals that they got when they were 30 and older because they were damn near 10,000-yard receivers by the age 30 season. And while Terry McLaurin's my guy, I've always said that we've elevated his talent because he was clearly the best player on this roster up until last year for a long time. He was the baddest girl in a room full of fives. And all of these variables are all the reasons why we tend to elevate players. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I get it. I totally understand it. But we got to be realistic about this situation. Another thing is that we have to understand that we're dealing with an analytics-based front office now. It can't be let AP cook, let Adam cook until it's time to go against Terry McLaurin. Like, we have to be consistent with it. Because I'm going to tell you, with this analytic-based front office, I'm going to tell you what they're doing. They're looking back and they're looking at the spreadsheets. They're looking at the Microsoft Excel sheets, whatever it is, the Google Docs, wherever they put it. And they're looking at the wide receivers similar to Terry and how they've performed at their age 30 season and beyond. And what I'm here to tell you is that when they look back at those analytics, they're going to see that a lot of those receivers start to fall off right around this time or this age in Terry McLaurin's career. They're age 30, they're age 31 seasons. And with an analytics-based front office, they're going to look at those spreadsheets and damn near throw up. Now, I'm not saying that Terry McLaurin can't be an anomaly. But when you're dealing with an analytics-based front office, let me tell you another number that they're going to pull up. And I didn't even mention this in the video 3 months ago. Do you know that last season, the 2024 season, that resulted in Terry McLaurin having a second-team All-Pro nomination, Did you know that he had the same amount of games where he had either 25 or less yards than he did 100 or more yards in 5 games each? So what that tells me is that when Terry McLaurin plops, he pops. But Terry McLaurin is the type of wide receiver that can be schemed out of games, that can be taken out of games. And we got a 5-game sample size of it just last year. Now, he did have a career year as far as touchdowns go. And a lot of that is quarterback dependent. It's no wonder we saw a rise in that when he got with the golden boy, Jalen Daniels. But the facts are the facts. Terry McLaurin is a wide receiver that has never had a 1,200-yard season. Terry McLaurin is a wide receiver whose best output was in the 2022 season, where he had 1,190 yards. And if you just want to play this facts-based game and just stick to straight semantics, Terry McLaurin had his best yardage output on his first contract. He didn't even have it on his second contract. So how do we think he's supposed to age in his third contract? And these are all the points that Adam Peters, Lance Newmark, Brandon Stosna, these are all the things that they're saying to Buddy Baker and Terry McLaurin at the negotiation table. Yeah, I know Terry wanted to talk about the age at Easter Motors, and I get it. He was trying to tug on the emotional heartstrings. But as I said at the beginning of this video, this standoff has caused each side of the fan base to pick a side. And now I'm sitting here stuck right in the middle because I think I'm not going to say the only one, but I think I came into this entire contract negotiation situation with the most realistic point of view, as evident on the video that was published on May 25th. But to be honest, I know I said it at the beginning of the video that I was coming on here to toot my own horn, but this is not a victory lap. It's not a victory lap. Because while I've listed all the leverage that the team has, and there's even more that I haven't spoken of, like them not having any incentive of honoring Terry McLaurin's trade request. Why would they do that? Why would a team with the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl, according to Las Vegas, trade their wide receiver 1? Trade their best pass catcher? But as we've seen throughout the first 2 weeks of training camp, throughout the joint practice session with the Patriots, and in the game, the biggest piece of leverage that Terry McLaurin has over the Commanders' head is that they're a way worse football team without him in 2025. And this is why I said this is not a victory lap, because I ultimately hope and I ultimately wish that Terry McLaurin signs a long-term deal for the Washington Commanders, a deal where he finishes his career playing only for the Washington Commanders. I just think now, even more so than I did 2.5 months ago, that's not as inevitable as I thought this time last year. So what say you? What side do you stand on the Terry McLaurin, Team Terry versus Team situation? And go ahead, give me my props in the comments. I think I might grab a crystal ball in my next episode. But I think that'll do it for today's episode, man. Because it's a nuanced situation with the Terry McLaurin contract negotiation. And if you've been following Bleeding BNG, you would have known that for a long time. In a situation when it blindsided you and you wouldn't have been spending sleepless nights in your summer of 2025 wondering what Terry McLaurin is going to do. As I said in that video 2.5 months ago, I think we've come to the point now where even Jeremy Fowler acknowledged it in his interview that he did with my guy Rio Robinson. Shout out to Rio, masterclass of an interview. But I think we've gotten to the point now where that relationship is fractured. That relationship is fractured, and the standoff has gone so long where the team might look at it as We're going to do this on a pay-by-play basis, a year-by-year basis. Terry McLaurin, you're under the team's control for this year. You can choose to sit out. And I didn't even acknowledge the pup thing in May because we all know that's cap. We know Terry is capping, putting on a good front till he get paid. It's going to be funny to see if Terry McLaurin, if he does sign a deal, he going to hop out of whatever walking boot he came into Ashburn with when he started his hold in. I promise you that. But I haven't even acknowledged that because we know that that's cap. But the leverage of Terry McLaurin potentially not playing, which I just can't even think of. Not the level of professional Terry McLaurin has been through the 6 years that I've known him as a Washington Redskins football team and commander. But if he does threaten to sit out games and ultimately falls through with it and goes on with it, I promise you this season is not as promising as we once thought. I promise you that. Terry, come back. Come back, please. Go ahead and take that hometown discount. Take that hometown discount, bruh. You finally got a quarterback. What more do you want?